You're listening to Let's Get Metaphysical, the super great show with supernatural guests. I'm your host, Monica Vigil. Joining us in the studio today is SunGoddess Ashley. She describes herself as a spiritual counselor who does tarot card readings and astrology readings in the greater Los Angeles area. Thank you for being here, Ashley.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So, you know what? First question, because I'm just very curious. Why the name SunGoddess Ashley?
I picked SunGoddess Ashley when I moved to California. One, because of the sun, and also because I needed to make a new email account. And there's a lot of moon goddesses out there, and I feel like I connect with the sun energy just as a expression of vitality and personal strength and willpower, and it seemed a little bit more active and dynamic than a more passive moon energy. So I feel that women are goddesses, and I embrace that within myself. So that's basically why I chose the name SunGoddess, to express myself in my title.
So you do tarot card readings. Mm-hmm. Can you explain what that is really quickly?
Yeah, so tarot cards are basically just a deck of cards that have 78 different archetypal themes. And so there's different parts to the tarot deck. There's the minor arcana, and those are like the minor details in our life that show up. And there's the major arcana, which are the overarching themes or major themes in our life, which are the Jungian archetypes. I studied a lot of Jung and Freud in school. I'm a psychology major, so I was attracted to that. And then there's also character cards in there, which sort of depict the personalities of the people that are around us. So it's a reflection of everyday life, and it's an art. Basically, people use them for divination. Some people use them for meditation. Some people use them for inspiration. But I do tarot readings, basically on people to just answer any questions that they have. So, yeah.
Awesome. So our listeners are actually going to get a very special treat. We're going to have a live demonstration of the tarot card reading, which is exciting.
It's
going to be me. Fun. So really vulnerable on the air here.
Yeah, no worries. Yes. I'll go ahead and give you a message if you'd like to shuffle the cards and choose one for yourself. Okay. And you can focus on a question. If you want a specific answer, you can focus on a specific question. Or you can just draw a card and see what the message is for you. It's no pressure, just relax and try to feel out and use your intuition on which card to draw.
Okay, and do I need to tell you my question, or
you can if you want to. It's an option.
Okay, I'll just tell you. Okay, I'm thinking about my love life.
Okay,
here I go, flipping the card.
Okay, so First of all, you have the Knight of Wands. Mm-hmm. So this card isn't particularly indicating whether you are or you're not in a relationship, but it's showing me the archetype of the character of the people that you may be attracting. So if this person is in your life, I can tell you he's kind of like a Sagittarius. This is a mutable fire energy. So fire is very passionate. It's very excitable. These people are very fun and adventuresome. So if this is the type of person you're looking for, or if you have in your life, it just looks like you would do best right now with people that are like Sagittarius type nature. This doesn't have to be their sun sign, could be their moon sign or their rising sign, their ascendant, but they're adventurous, so they maybe like to travel. They're into philosophy, spirituality, other cultures. They're worldly and they like to explore. So I feel like that's who you would best pair up with at this time of your life.
Cool. I'm single, guys. So
all right.
If you fit this,
any Sages out there?
So you talked about right now moon signs and sun signs. Can you go into that, because I'm not too familiar?
Sure. So at the time of our birth, and the time, we all know that we have a birth date. We also have a location that we were born and a time of day that we were born. Okay, so whatever our birthday is, a lot of people know their sun sign. They say, what's your sign? And people are generally referring to their birthday, which they would say, oh, I have my sun is in Sagittarius, or my sun is in Leo or Aquarius or whatever. But the moon sign is the place in the sky, the constellation or the zodiac sign at the time of your birth as well. So the moon changes signs every 2.5 days. And so even though people were born in the same month, because the sun changes signs every 30 days, people will have a different moon sign. So even though you have maybe the same core personality as someone who shares your sun sign, you may think differently than them. So a lot of times people don't necessarily resonate with their sun sign. They go, that doesn't sound like me, because they think like their moon sign, which it's kind of a subdivision. So you have your sun sign, then you have a subdivision of your moon sign, and then your ascendant is the sign that changes every 2 hours. So you have 24 hours in a day and 12 signs. So there are, every 2 hours, there's another sign that rises up over the horizon, and that marks your life path. And it's the first impression that people get of you as well. It's what sort of the public sees about you. And it's your connection to the earth as well. So there are different variables that make up complex human beings that aren't just categorized as one specific thing. So I guess that's the primary difference between those three elements.
Awesome. When did you start doing tarot card reading? I
started doing tarot about 10 years ago, a little over a decade ago. I started just as a hobby. I wanted to take a class. I went to a metaphysical bookstore, and they were teaching classes on it, and I was just interested in doing something with my spare time. And I learned that this was I had no idea what it was about, and it was fun for me. It was sort of like a social thing for me at first. I wanted to go and just meet up with other people and just talk about metaphysical things, spiritual things. And I found that I really connected with it. So I guess that's how I started. And then I just sort of continued practicing on myself. I bought my first deck, and I started practicing on myself and my friends, and researching online articles and reading books. And the more I started doing it, the more I got really good at it. And people were asking me for readings, and people were saying, you need to charge for this. You're really good at stuff. Kind of by accident, I guess, if there's anything as an accident, any such thing as that. I sort of found this skill that I have. And yeah.
So right now when you read my tarot card, is it like a formula, or do you do it intuitively? How does that work?
Well, as far as using a formula, people can use, or tarot readers can use spreads. So there's basic spreads. What we did was just a 1-card pull. So that would be a formula. Another formula would be like a past, present, future, 3-card pull, 3-card spread. Some people use a Celtic cross. There's hundreds, and there's infinite number of spreads or formulas on how you structure the cards. It's a layout, so each position holds a particular meaning, and then the image corresponds with that meaning that is on the front of the card. So as far as using your intuition, so yeah, it is actually a little bit logic and intuition. It's a right and left brain activity. There's some memorization with it, but then you move beyond that and get psychic impressions when you use your intuition. So you intuitively drew that card. There's 78 cards, so it's sort of random, but I believe that we all have this capacity and this inner psychic awareness, whether we're aware of it or not. We're constantly attracted or repelled by certain things, people or situations, whether we know why or not. But our inner selves, our inner intuition will always guide us. So I feel like you were guided to choose this card. And then on a mental level, I explained it to you on a cognitive level. So there are different dynamic or different aspects, I guess, at play when it comes to tarot readings, if that answers your question. Awesome. Okay.
And you also do astrology readings?
I do astrology as well, which it's a separate science. It's an art and a science. But yes, I do natal chart readings. I do relationship compatibility readings. I can do progressions. There's different systems of astrology. So I'm also interested in astronomy too, and the science behind the stars and the different cycles that planets go through. The astrology part is how it relates to us as human beings. So I feel like the main difference would be astronomy is like just looking at it as a science and being removed from a relationship with that. Astrology incorporates the relationship that we have with the planets, and we can interpret the different planetary configurations based on the time of our birth. So yes, I do astrology readings as well. I feel like Western sidereal and Vedic astrology is very helpful for personality interpretation, and Western tropical, which is based upon the seasons, and it's very complex to describe the different the differences between the two systems. But I studied tropical astrology for about 13 years now, and I've just recently, for the past year, gotten into Vedic astrology, and I find it's enriching. It enriched the knowledge that I already had learned, and sort of I'm building upon that with the tropical system. So yeah.
Awesome. So you were just telling me that you do YouTube videos.
I do.
Can you talk about that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've just been inspired to do YouTube videos. I have, I feel like I just wanted to follow my inspiration on that. So I have posted informational videos on crystals and gemstones for healing and metaphysical properties. And I also have a different playlist going for tarot tutorial, which teaches people, it's just like a little, I guess, tutorial or lesson on how to use the tarot. And then I also do monthly forecast readings for the signs. And I created an astrology channel as well, but I really wanted to focus in on that once I kind of got a little bit of momentum going with the SunGoddess Ashley YouTube channel. So I have SunGoddess Astrology YouTube channel, which I'll be posting videos shortly. My goal is by the beginning of next year or the end of this year to do that. But I just wanted to sort of spread the word, and I'm marked as a teacher in this life. So anything that I can share, what I've learned with other people, I find that very fulfilling to my life purpose.
Do you think anyone can learn to read tarot cards?
I think anyone can learn to read tarot. Now, whether or not they want to is a different story. I think that, here's what I think about that. Anybody can learn and do anything they want to, especially I feel like in this day and age, we're very privileged to have a lot of freedom of choice on our careers. And in ancient times, you were born into a particular family, and that's what you did. You were born into farmers and you farmed, or whatever the case may be. But we have the option to explore and learn about all of these different areas of life that interest us, and we can bring forth our natural skills and abilities on whatever area we choose. I do think, however, that I do believe in past lives, and I do believe that we remember a lot about our past lives. So, for example, a child is born as a child prodigy that can sit down and play the piano, these beautiful music compositions, whereas if I wanted to learn the piano, I'd be playing chopsticks because I wasn't a musician in my past life. I didn't have that soul memory of just sitting down and it being a natural ability. But if I wanted to learn the piano, I could do it. It would probably take more effort, and in doing that, so I think it translates to astrology and tarot. It just depends on the interest level, and there is some innate ability that we have as well that varies from person to person.
So you mentioned past life. Is that something that you also dabble in?
I've studied it. I've studied different theories. It's a theory, just like no one can really prove. Science proves things there's a certain, degree or percentage that can be proven, but I've heard that gravity is just a theory, and we've has this recently this flat Earth theory that's coming back up. But I've studied different people's perspectives on past life, and it's a perspective that resonates with me personally. Yes, I have deja vu on certain things, or I'm like, oh, this is really weird. I feel like I've been here before. I feel like I know you. Sort of this weird, unexplainable familiarity that I have with people, places, and things. And I'm not alone in that. I know that this is a common phenomenon. So I do believe that that's one way to explain that occurrence, is saying, oh, well, okay, we have past lives. I know that in Hinduism, Vedic astrology, once I've started studying that a little bit more, it's Hindu astrology, basically, is what Vedic astrology is. And so I've learned a little bit about Hinduism and Buddhism, and they do believe in past lives and reincarnation, and that is actually seen in the birth chart. So I've seen certain circumstances where I've compared my chart, my astrology chart, with other people's, and we have significant conjunctions. And a conjunction is when two planets are conjoined, they're in the same spot in the sky. So a certain degree of the astrological sign Sagittarius, since we were talking about that earlier, I may have my planet Venus there, and you may have your planet Saturn there, which shows that we have some sort of relationship. K2, the south node of the moon, is an indication of past lives. So it is seen in the birth chart. I don't want to get too much in depth about that, but I do believe in it, and I think it's just because I've studied it and maybe verified that, or so...
So
Okay.
You were telling me earlier that you have a deck of tarot cards that you use for yourself, for personal. How do you use them?
So I have a couple of decks that are very special to me, and I use them for personal purposes. There's a few decks that I have for learning in groups, because I've taught tarot meetup groups before, and I let other people use those. But I do have I really do love the Rider-Waite tarot deck. It's a particular version. There's a lot of popular decks out there, but that's the one that I learned on, and it's very special to me. How I use it is I do spreads. I do draw out certain cards on myself or my day ahead of me. A lot of the times I feel like hindsight is 20/20, no matter how good of a card reader you are. It's hard to read on yourself because you're subjective. When you read for other people, it's a little bit easier, I feel. So but I just, I just shuffle the cards and see what comes out for the day. So I ask a question. I say, tell me about my day. Or I can, even if I'm going to be in a sort of ambiguous situation, I try to pull cards to see the energy of it ahead of time. And it strengthens what I already know. A lot of the times it's just a validation of what I'm kind of feeling. I feel like it's good for training wheels on learning to trust yourself. So that's a good tool. So I use it as a tool, basically.
Do you do it every day?
I do. I do it every day. Yes. I read for clients, and I read for myself, and it's just become a part of my lifestyle.
Yeah, when I called you to do this interview, I remember I was telling you, does this day work for you? And I could hear you shuffling your cards in the background. Give me a second. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, you gave me a couple of options. A couple of options to come in and meet with you, and I just wanted to see what the pictures would say on the best date. And I think last week Mercury had gone station after it went to retrograde. So a lot of people in pop culture have heard about Mercury retrograde, where things sort of tend to go awry. And if you're going to be communicating in any sort of level, whether it be on the air or any sort of important interview or communication, you want to make sure that Mercury is well supported. And so I felt like by this week, it's pretty close to moving out of shadow by this point. So I feel like Mercury is no longer playing tricks on us. And the cards just seem to depict that this day was a better day to meet. So.
Wait, so can you tell me about Mercury retrograde?
Yeah.
I feel like I should know that.
Do you have questions about that?
Yeah, so you say avoid things go wrong during Mercury retrograde? Is that what happens?
Yeah.
Okay. So avoid doing like big things, important things?
Well, okay. So how do I explain this? Okay, so each planet tends to go retrograde except for the sun and the moon. So from Earth's perspective, when you're looking at a planet, when you're looking at the visible planets, which would be Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, and then the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, aren't visible with the naked eye. But certain times of the year, these planets will appear to move backwards in the sky. They're not really moving backwards. It's just because of our Earth's orbit that it appears that way. But from our perspective, if these planets are moving backwards, it's sort of a time to go back and redo things instead of pushing against something that isn't working. Mercury is a planet that is in charge of mental processes and communications. It's our intellect, it's commerce, anything that we trade back and forth, an exchange of ideas, exchange of money, what have you. So when Mercury goes retrograde, it's known as the trickster planet. And so, there could be just some slight miscommunications, or especially technology can tend to go haywire. Sometimes things miraculously sort of, go better when Mercury goes direct. So things that weren't working just tends to start working again. Smoother communication. So I've noticed a lot of people's computers crash during Mercury retrogrades, or missed flights during Mercury retrogrades. But it's not really that serious usually. It's not big catastrophes. But if you're aware of the energy, it's just a part of being aware and knowing what's happening around you, so you're not frustrated and angry at the circumstances around you. Say, okay, this is why it's happening. It's because it takes you out of a more emotional state into a more logical state. Say it's a transiting phase, so I can deal with it or prepare. So if you know that a Mercury retrograde is coming, you can double check meetup times. You can verify certain things. You can make sure, check your receipts that all the totals add up right. You can back up your work. So you sort of prepare, to be warned is to be forearmed.
Wow, that explains so much. I'm in such a funk, and my computer crashed.
Did it?
Yes.
Okay.
And I had to restart my assignment. Wow.
So sorry.
It's okay. It's coming out, apparently. So let's talk about your business.
Okay.
You do these readings. When did you first start doing it as a business?
It's hard to tell when I started charging for readings, because I was doing it for friends and I guess people that would ask me for it. I don't remember when I started charging. The first time I lived in Long Beach, I set up a Yelp page. So it's been a few years. I think maybe 2011 or 2012, 2010, somewhere around there. I started doing it professionally. I got the courage to put myself out there and say, this is what I do. When I remember when I used to get really nervous when I would sit down with clients, new people, because I hadn't been doing it for very long, and I just a regular human being like everybody else. I want to be liked. I want to have that, that verification, like, yes, that you're right on. And some people are easier to read than other people, or more closed off. So it depends on who you're sitting down with as well. Some people have more positive attitudes. Some people have more negative attitudes. Some people are very encouraging. Some people are very critical. So it just depends on the personality. You don't know who you're going to get when they call for a reading. But yeah, I started doing it on Yelp. So people would find me through Yelp locally.
I found you through Yelp.
You did. I get a lot of clients off of Yelp. I'm very thankful. And you can't fabricate, the reviews on there. People just, it's for the community. So what people's experiences are. I haven't had any negative feedback. There's been a couple people where they didn't like their reading or they didn't resonate with it, and I tried to ask them questions instead of just saying, well, that's it and that's what you get. I tried to work through them. Well, what didn't you like about it? What didn't, let's work through this. Let's try to find something that, some common ground here. So
yeah, you have great reviews on Yelp.
Thank you,
everyone. Go to Ashley.
Oh my goodness,
she has great reviews. So what's been the hardest part, do you think, about this business, your business?
Let's see, what's the hardest part? Myself. I get in my own way a lot of the times. I get in my own head. I think that it's important I'm a perfectionist and I'm very hard on myself. So a lot of times I feel like I don't know enough. I'll never know enough to feel confident enough to tell someone or advise someone about their life. So that's been a big struggle, is just having the confidence to believe in myself and to trust myself and trust my impressions. And it's been a journey. So the more that I've practiced doing readings for other people, I feel like the stronger that I've sort of gotten in my psychic abilities and my intuitive abilities. So I feel like, I think that's the biggest hurdle, is just sort of learning how to trust myself.
And can you pinpoint a moment when you're like, okay, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I guess. I don't really know. I don't know how to answer that. I feel like what I'm doing feels good. I like doing this. And it's fun. And I would encourage anybody that is drawn to something that they like or that feels good to them, whether they're an artist, whether they're into, chemistry or math or any sort of subject that feels good and they feel like they have a natural skill and ability to follow that, not because it makes money, not because, that's what other people want them to do, their parents or their friends tell them that they should do. I feel like everyone has a unique path and a unique contribution into their life, and a lot of adults that have been doing this certain job that they never really connected with or never really clicked with, they're very unhappy. And that saddens me. I feel like everyone should follow their passion. Everyone should follow their bliss, and the money will come because people are attracted to people who love what they do. You can tell if someone doesn't like their job, and I just feel like it makes me feel good. So I guess that's the best way that I would answer that question. Yeah. So.
That was beautiful. That was inspirational and motivational. I feel good.
Thank you.
All right. Believe it or not, we're going
we're
for
good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much for coming.
You're so welcome. Thanks for
having me. You've been listening to Let's Get Metaphysical. I'm Monica Vigil. We were joined today by SunGoddess Ashley. Look her up. She's awesome.